Welcome to the 2022 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this edition. Please be sure to subscribe for the latest true interpretation of financial news in America and sometimes beyond. I appreciate your support and all the letters and comments. I read them all online and offline. And get ready for our live session to end the year that's going to be coming up in December, a live face-to-face session that's going to be coming up before Christmas. That's going to be my plan. To answer your questions, a live question and answer session later on the Preach to Me channel. But in the meantime, today I just want to briefly talk about the record gas profits, oil profits that have been in America and beyond. And I want to talk about, do you think that the gas prices are going to be going up or down after the holidays, after Christmas and New Year's, Hanukkah, all of those holidays, or do you think it's going to continue to either stabilize or go down? So here we go. Today we see that the world markets are sharing a critical juncture now where sales are not going up, sales are going down in most areas, but companies are still making record profits. As you see, Chevron gets new U.S. license to pump oil in Venezuela again. You know, Venezuela's economy is in chaos, was in chaos, and many people have fled. Many locals have fled to neighboring Ecuador and Colombia, and some have even come as far as here, the United States, to start a new life, to get away from the chaos and leadership. But now the new license from the U.S. Treasury Department allows Chevron, that's an oil company, to return to Venezuela's oil fields after years of strict sanctions. So now we've had all of these sanctions put on the President Nicolas Maduro's government, and now those are going to be lifted for Chevron to come in and resume pumping oil from its Venezuelan oil fields. So they have oil fields that they own down there, that they manage, they lease there from the government, the Venezuelan government, and now they're going to be pumping that oil, allowed to come down there and pump that oil. Will that help prices in America? Following the agreement, the Biden administration granted Chevron a license that would allow the California-based oil company to return to its Venezuelan oil fields in joint ventures with the country's national company there, Petroles de Venezuela S.A. The new license granted by the Treasury Department will permit Chevron to pump Venezuelan oil for the first time in years. So the Biden administration won't allow drilling and pumping here with a pipeline that will go through America, that pipeline, the Keystone pipeline, but he will allow pumping down in Venezuela despite the conflict of beliefs with the government and all of that stuff. So I find that very interesting. So, because this is an attempt to try to help lower the prices. Remember, we've been using the strategic oil reserves now for the last 3 months or 4 months. We've been using the strategic oil reserves, and you see that the prices did come down a little bit. To his credit, the prices did come down to around $3.85 a gallon nationally for regular unleaded. But then it surged back up the last 2 months to $4.05 a gallon, according to AAA.com, for an average price for regular. And now they're going back into Venezuela, letting these U.S. companies go back down there to pump oil. The official said the U.S. is prepared to revoke or amend the license, which will be in effect for 6 months at any time if Venezuela doesn't negotiate in good faith. So in other words, if Venezuela doesn't share the profits back with them, basically, then they're going to take the sanctions and increase the sanctions. But the article spends it here by Market Watch by saying that if Maduro again tries to use these negotiations to buy time to further consolidate his criminal dictatorship, the United States and our international partners, quote, must snap back the full force of our sanctions. This is according to Senator Robert Melendez. He's the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. So now we're doing business with countries that we said that we normally wouldn't do. So what's next? So we're going to go into Iran and say, look, we need to pump more oil from you now. All of the people that were in the quote unquote axis of evil back in the day that Bush said was an axis of evil, and wouldn't it be simpler to just pump oil here for the Keystone oil pipeline, get that going again, as many Republicans and others have said that they wanted to do? Why are we going to countries that we know that we don't agree with their administration, but now we're there just to pump oil to try to cool our prices down, as you can see here? World shares fall. Let me know what you think in the comments. World shares fall as China protests, lockdowns, cloud outlook. So now we have this lockdown. And you remember, ladies and gentlemen, I told you in the beginning that this COVID thing was a cover. We all know it was a cover for a failing world economy, a failing U.S. economy, right? But it also is something that is never ending, because remember they tried to hype up the monkeypox. That didn't work. Now it's RSV. Somebody tell me tell me how that's going in your neighborhood or in your community. Don't know much about it, but it's another respiratory disease, supposedly. So now we have all of these different things going, and this is going to be a never-ending cycle to impose stricter lockdowns and to take away more and more freedoms of Americans and other people around the world too. It's not just America, but other people around the world as well too, in Asia and Europe and Africa and South America too. So we see here U.S. futures were lower. Oil prices fell more than $2 a barrel. So if China continues to go on a lockdown, or parts of China, I should say, not all of China, but parts of China, if they go on lockdown due to the rising COVID cases, guys, and granted they should take the necessary precautions as well, we should too as well, how is that going to affect trading? How is that going to affect this economy that's dependent upon things moving, between goods and services moving? And some areas may be insulated more than others. But eventually our cities are crumbling. All of the cities, we were just talking about this yesterday, all of the cities' infrastructures, whether it's in the U.S., whether it's Chicago, Baltimore, D.C., New York, Philly, L.A., Seattle, Houston, Dallas, Minneapolis, you name it, are falling behind other countries. So our infrastructures are dying. Nobody's investing in America or investing in the Western world at all. In the UK, Romania, Turkey, these gateway cities are falling behind more and more. And all the central banks are doing the same thing. They're just raising rates and printing money. And that's not working. It's creating more problems and more debt for individual Americans and for our national nation as a whole. So where does this leave us? Where does this leave us more? And I tell you, that's why I say prepare, because preparing gives us an opportunity to be able to take advantage of things when this currency, either the currency is going to collapse or we're going to go into a severe depression that's going to last 5 to 10 years or more. And that means a restructuring of this economy when we come out of this thing with this new economy. What is it going to look like? Obviously we know that robotics and technology and automation is going to increase. We know that's going to increase, and more physical manual jobs and even regular jobs are going to decrease. So we have to set ourselves up to be prepared for that. But let me know what you think in the comments about this oil thing. I thought it was very interesting that they're pumping oil now in other countries that we don't agree with, whose philosophy or whatever government we don't agree with, but we can't get a pipeline here, the Keystone pipeline or anything passed. And the gas price is still high as heck, and it's going to continue to get high as heck. And at the same time, the oil companies are making record profits, and they say it's just because of the prices. But really, it's just because of greed, because they can lower the prices and still make a decent profit. So let me know what you think in the comments, guys. God bless you today. Be safe, and try to bless somebody else today. Have the best way you can. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you in the next episode.